Hi, I'm Aaron J. Marks of aaronjmarks.com and commercetheory.com. Welcome to my podcast, A Higher Level, where everything we think, see, and do happens on a higher level. For as long as I can remember, I felt like my mind has worked just a little differently than most others. For my entire life, I've been studying, observing, and contemplating this incomparably strange and wonderful phenomenon called human existence, and trying to figure out what it's all about. People say the way of thinking and theorizing that comes from this offers an unusually high and rich level of insight, clarity, freedom, inspiration, and effortless creativity. And that's ultimately what a higher level is all about. The insight to understand how life works, the clarity to see where to go next, the freedom to go there, the inspiration to find joy and wonder along the journey, and the creativity to honor your particular brand of human genius. In this podcast, I'm going to break down and describe the concepts that come from my theories so that you can see into the fabric of the life you're living with greater depth and precision, and use that understanding to improve your results in every way that's meaningful to you. It's the only life you get, and the only chance you have to make a difference here. If there's one thing I know, it's that all lives can improve, and that the human race is just one big collective results improving system. Ready to find your place here? Fabulous. Let's get into the topic for this episode of A Higher Level. I'll see you again afterward and talk more about what it looks like to work with me. Until then, let's dive in. Hello, welcome back to A Higher Level. I'm Aaron of aaronjmarks.com. I'm a visionary purpose coach, metaphysical leadership mentor, theorist of human commerce and communication, all those things, executive coach, organizational consultant, creative catalyst. There's many ways I describe my work. Yeah, well, welcome back to A Higher Level. This is episode 48, and A Higher Level is the official podcast of aaronjmarks.com. So I hope you enjoyed the last series, which is all about my new theory of commerce. And there's a new book called Seeking Completion, where you can learn more about that. That's available now on my website. I'll have a link to that in the show notes here. So this is the final series of season 2, and this is a series about the 8 steps of leadership and creation, or as I sometimes call it, the universal shape of leadership and creation. So when we bridge the gap between our vision and reality, I think there's always 8 steps to it, and this series is about those 8 steps. And what I've decided to do, this actually, this is this is some content that I've written about a little while ago. I just finished the second book. This is actually from my first book, is where I laid this out systematically. It's called the Complete Science of Human Dynamics. And basically, this is part 2, is the universal shape of leadership and creation. So there's a few episodes you might want to go back and revisit. I was actually going to look up which ones they were. I guess I'll do that now. So these are going back a little ways. So yeah, so this would be episodes um 10 through um 10 through 16, where I talk about the 5 metaphysical realms. And this is not an idea that I mean, this is still very much an idea that I think about a lot. This idea of metaphysics and, creating a model of the way that reality works. That's why I call myself a metaphysical leadership mentor sometimes, is that I do have a sort of a proprietary metaphysical model, like a way that I break down reality to help people see their place in it and understand where their desires are taking them. And to go through that really, really briefly, and I've done this many, many other places, so there's no shortage of places to find that. But the 5 realms are motion, life, action, strategy, and purpose, and they do go from like the bottom to the top. And that encompasses all of reality, everything that exists, from the past to like the visionary future, meeting in the present, which is the realm of action. So really briefly, the realm of motion is simply talking about what exists. And I use the realm of motion because we can speak about it from like a religious creation perspective, or more of a secular cosmology perspective. It's wide enough to encompass both of them because the fact is we got here somehow. The universe got here somehow. We don't know for sure how that happened. And I want to be sensitive to all the perspectives that fit within that. So, things are in motion, and there's a lot of inanimate things that are nonetheless in motion, right? Some of that became alive. That's the second realm, the realm of life. You get these self-contained organisms that have systems of regulation and sort of self-generation. Aristotle was a biologist, and so he had really interesting ways of describing this. That's something I've been learning about lately, and I'll likely be creating some content around that. This idea of entelechy, this sort of self-contained organism that is working to stay as itself. That's how I hear it put sometimes, and I think there's a really interesting comparison to social entities that you can make from that, and understand how to manage and grow and govern social entities more effectively, with less effort. And if you're listening to this and you lead a business or a nonprofit or a government organization, it's essentially like those are all social entities, so we can compare those to biological entities, gain insight that way. So a lot of organisms are alive, but they're not conscious. They're not conscious in the way that certain of them are. And I would say that animals have a unique kind of consciousness in that they take actions in the present moment, and humans certainly are among those as well. Um, and actions happen on instinct, but for some of us, for some animals, we can look at our actions and say, is this taking me where I want to go? We have control over the framework that guides those actions, and that's the next realm. That's the realm of strategy. So when we say, okay, what do I want all of my actions to add up to and to point toward? That's a strategy. How do we coordinate all these actions? But it's not enough to ask how do I coordinate my actions, because I have to know where I want to go first. And that's the final realm, which is the realm of purpose, which is this vast, rich, beautiful, deep, um, paradox laden, kind of mystical place where we look at all the joys and sorrows of humankind and, just, kind of celebrate the fact that we're here to experience this at all. Let alone that we have, such deep investment of feeling in it, and that we keep kind of improving our condition, but never seem to run out of ways to do it. That's the realm of purpose. And so, to me, the magic of the coaching and consulting I do is that I offer people sort of access to that realm of purpose, that they don't typically find, because most people are, kind of running around in action and strategy, asking, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next? And I say, let's table that for a bit. Okay. We'll get there. Don't worry. We're taking actions all the time. That's the lesson of the realm of action. We can't stop doing that, right? But how do we infuse those actions with meaning and vision, right? And that's what we find in the realm of purpose. And the way to access that is to sort of abide and feel and, just kind of rest into our being, right? And from there, our vision becomes clear and inspired. And from there, we can bridge the gap between purpose and strategy, and then finally strategy to action. And there's 8 steps to do that. And I outline them in that book, the Complete Science of Human Dynamics. And what I thought would be an interesting approach here on this podcast, because I haven't gone over these before, like not at least not that I can find. But they're crucial concepts, So anytime I'm coaching leaders or consulting with organizations and asking why aren't you where you want to go yet, it comes down to some combination of these 8 steps and deficiencies that we might find with them. So we're going to cover these systematically in detail here. And what I decided to do, instead of kind of extemporize like I am here and as I have in all the other full-length episodes, is I figured I would just sort of create an audiobook version of this section of the book, and I would just read the passages from the book for each of those 8 parts. And then there's also there's like I don't know, an introductory section. So that'll be the first one. So this is the introduction to that series. So the next thing you'll hear is the first episode, or kind of the first official episode, which is called Purpose to Strategy. That's uh, the first two realms that we're going to bridge. And there's four steps for those, and then we're going to bridge strategy to action, and there's four more steps to those. So the four steps to bridge the realms of purpose and strategy are vision, clarity, leadership, and thinking. And that's the work of entrepreneurship and leadership. Okay. And then the four steps to bridge the gap between strategy and action are audience communication, persuasion, and agreement. And that's essentially what we would call marketing and sales. Okay. So, every organization does some form of this. Every organization propagandizes. That means they propagate a message and seek to attract people to their cause and convert people to their cause, right? It's interesting that we call joining a religion a conversion, but we also call turning a prospect into a customer a conversion as well, right? So it's sort of all religious, and that's the point of my second book, Seeking Completion, is that humans are essentially a theological species, and we're all looking for religious groups to join, and all behavior is that. So yeah, but yeah, you'll hear an audiobook version essentially of me, reading each of these steps, and so that's what you'll hear over the next generous handful of episodes, and then I'll be back at the end to do a brief conclusion that's extemporized. So this is Aaron of A Higher Level, and this is Aaron of AaronJMarks.com, and this is A Higher Level, the official podcast of AaronJMarks.com. I'm a visionary purpose coach, metaphysical leadership mentor. You're going to hear all of that in this next series, and then a theorist of human communication and commerce. So I'll see you in the next episode, and we'll begin to unpack the universal shape of leadership and creation. I'll see you then. Thanks for joining me on A Higher Level. If I've done my job right, you're seeing, thinking, and acting differently, with more clarity, more decisiveness, more intention, more success. The current state of your life is just a set of results, and they can all be improved. Doesn't matter whether it concerns yourself, your family, your friends, your community, your workplace, your investments, your world. Behave differently, act differently, communicate differently, and your results will change, guaranteed. But how do you change your actions, behaviors, and communications? If you're unsure, give me a shout. I've helped dozens of motivated leaders and organizations like you and yours to improve their results by discerning exactly the right next step. It's something not everyone can do, and it happens to be my specialty. Sound like something you can use? Learn more about me on all my media channels, and reach out to start your own conversation and improve your life in every way. There's nothing like it. And you're worth it, because if you're not, then no one is. Thanks again for joining me on A Higher Level. I'll talk to you next time, and we'll continue to see, think, and act on a higher level. Until then.